over to Alicia to give us our legislative update before we start in on our content, which will be on awards. Alicia?
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks everybody for being here today. We have had a very busy beginning of the year related to legislation, and I hope most of you were able to come to our National Policy Seminar earlier this month and get the in-depth information on everything that was happening. If not, at any point, we're happy to schedule a time to talk in more detail, since what I'll be able to provide today is just a quick overview. But I did want to highlight a few things that were moving along in the process since we were at NPS a few weeks ago. The first one is the reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. As many of you know, that bill was scheduled for a vote on the House floor actually the Friday before we came to NPS, and it was pulled at the last minute in the House because there weren't enough votes, and the Senate was still in negotiation phase. Neither of those things have changed dramatically, although we have started to hear more rumblings of the possibility that the House bill will come back to the floor after the Easter recess. Currently, members of Congress are on recess all of this week and all of next week. The standard time they take off to be back at home in their districts and states. So once they return in that second week of April, we do expect there to be some potential for progress on ESEA in the House. At the same time, the Senate leaders, Senator Alexander and Senator Murray, have committed to bipartisan negotiations on a bill, and everything points to them holding a markup on the Tuesday after they come back from recess, which is April the 13th and 14th, that week right there. So we are anticipating that there will be some movement in the Senate. Nobody has seen any draft language related to that Senate negotiation, so we don't know if any of our CTE priorities like the Career Ready Act have been incorporated yet, but are still paying close to that process and working with the members of Congress that put forward those ideas in hopes that they'll be incorporated into ESEA's full reauthorization bill. Pendulum kind of swings back and forth in Washington as to whether or not people think ESEA has any real chance of being reauthorized this year. I think if the Senate bill comes out of negotiations in a bipartisan way and gets a fair amount of support at the committee level, then I think there's a good chance of things continuing to move forward. If it doesn't, it's hard to see a path through the legislative process and then to the president for his signature that results in a new bill this year. One of the things that's been kind of a hot topic of discussion in the context of that ESEA work is what's going to happen next. So once the committees work through ESEA or decide that they've gone as far as they can on that bill, they turn. Will Perkins be the next bill up in the education committees? And while there were some comments made by Chairman Klein over on the House side last week at an event that alluded to Perkins perhaps coming up sooner than later, the committee staff we talked to in both chambers are really focused on the Higher Education Act as the next bill to move, and possibly the Child Nutrition Act, which governs the school lunch rules, and Perkins would fall in line after those bills. And keep in mind that it's often the very same staff at the committee level working on all of these bills, so they really can't juggle more than one large reauthorization at a time. Providing some evidence of that timing of ESEA, then higher ed, and then finally Perkins, with child nutrition slotted in, is the House has already started holding additional hearings on the Higher Education Act. And over on the Senate side, Senator Alexander released a few draft white papers on different topics within higher ed reauthorization that he was interested in getting feedback from the field on. We'll be putting those white papers up on the blog and asking for input as we work on our responses to those, of course. But both of those things point toward a more serious look at HEA before Congress gets to Perkins. That hasn't kept us from moving forward on our Perkins work. We continue to meet regularly with other groups, groups like NEA and AFT, other more business-related stakeholders like the National Skills Coalition and business and industry groups that are interested in Perkins. And certainly we've been working very closely with our partners at the state directors of CTE to flesh out our positions and language and develop supporting materials and try to work to build consensus within the community about an act that focuses on high-quality CTE but doesn't put unnecessary burden on states and local school districts relative to the amount of funding available under Perkins. Funding is the last piece that I wanted to touch on. There has been quite a bit of an activity lately. I want to thank everybody who reached out to members of Congress through the Dear Colleague alerts that went out last week. Both of the House and Senate letters have closed, and both had higher numbers of sign-ons than last year. We had 88 House members and 31 senators in the letters in support of Perkins funding. So that was a great turnout and great support from members of Congress. Thanks in large part to all of your efforts and the efforts of folks in your states to call and ask members to sign on. The sign-on list went up on the blog yesterday and will go out to all members in Wednesday's ACTE News, so everybody will be able to see who signed those letters. Those letters are being submitted on the heels of the budget resolution debates in both the House and the Senate. Both chambers have passed a budget resolution now, and those resolutions were covered on the blog. Unfortunately, they both do not provide the types of increases for non-defense discretionary spending in the current year that would allow a lot of, say, the administration's proposals or any significant program increases to occur. And in fact, in the out years, they often provide cuts to non-defense discretionary spending. So the fiscal climate remains of great concern going forward. However, one positive note was that there were what we consider message amendments included in the Senate bill on the floor of the Senate related to CTE and in committee, adding what we call a deficit-neutral reserve fund to the budget for CTE, basically saying that if you were able to cut in other areas of the budget and create additional room under the caps, that CTE would be a priority for where to spend that money. And it's important to remember, though, we called them message amendments for a reason. They really have no practical impact on the allocation of dollars once the bills move to the appropriations committees, but they are a sign of Congress's support for career and technical education, particularly over on the Senate side. There was an amendment offered on the House side at the committee level, but it was offered by a group of Democrats, and in the environment that they were marking up their bill, none of the Democratic amendments that were put forth passed at the committee level there. So still a lot of work to be done on the funding process moving forward, and it's still very unclear whether Congress will be able to come up with any solution that might raise the caps for non-defense discretionary spending and allow some of the investments that are necessary to keep programs on pace with current needs. One other thing I want to mention is that our staff are engaged in a number of outreach visits right now related to funding and Perkins and our priorities for the authorizing legislation that's underway as well, particularly with new members of Congress. A lot of those new members have just gotten staff in their offices handling education, and we're working to reach out and go in and meet with those offices. Several times already, questions have come up that are most appropriately answered at the state level that are either specific to your system, or we've heard something in the office that we were concerned about and we wanted to pass it along to the state level for a more local response. And so I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that you might be getting emails from us about things we've heard in offices or offices that we think need a little more information or attention at the state level. And certainly if that occurs, we'll send you all the information that we have and exactly what we think would be the best course of action with those offices. But I did want to provide a heads up that those requests might be coming over the next month or so as we try to hit a lot of the new folks that don't have a strong background in CTE. So with that, I'll stop and see, does anybody have any questions? Well, if there are no questions, then I guess I will turn it back over to Lauren and Kate.
Great. Thank you so much, Alicia. And if you do have any questions for Alicia that you think of later, feel free to contact her via email or via phone. She'd be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into our content for today. We're going to be talking about awards, why they matter, and what you can do to grow your program. This is a switch from the content we had originally planned for this month, but Kate and I discussed it and really felt that it was needed to discuss this issue now so there's enough time for you all to react and take advantage of the opportunities that ACTE has to offer. So with that, I'm very happy and honored to introduce Kate Dowdy, who is our Leadership and Awards Manager. She's been with ACTE for 2 years and has done a phenomenal job transforming the awards program into the phenomenal program that it is today. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Kate.
Wow, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for that introduction. That was great. And I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to all of you today about awards because I think spring and early summer we're really gearing up for your state awards programs, and we have some exciting new resources I want to share with you. And I also wanted to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about, again, awards, why they're important, and then some strategies for you when you're marketing your program, trying to expand it or enhance it. Okay. So first I want to start with a few fun facts about the ACT Awards program that I rarely get to talk about. Usually these presentations are pretty technical, so I have some exciting things to share with you. First, you might not be aware that the ACT Awards have actually been around in one form or another since 1954. So that's 60 years of giving out these awards. On our website, we have an archive of all the winners, individuals and groups that have been recognized nationally over the past 60 years, and total it comes to over 500 people in groups. So that's pretty exciting. I like to think that all the people that we're inducting this year and the years to come are joining this really long, prestigious history that we have for this program. The second fact that I want to share with you is a pretty big deal. This year, we actually just finished closing our region competition. The nominations were due March 1st, and we in total received 128 state winners' applications. And that marks a 40% increase over last year's numbers. So that's pretty significant. If you think about it this way, out of those 128 state winners, 33 of those people will go on to become region winners, and 7 will be named as national winners. So I think that's a pretty robust program, and I'm very proud that it's grown, and I want to thank you all as well for your work in making that happen. I'm also happy to announce that 35 states have put candidates forward this year, and that's a number that's increased steadily, incrementally over the past 2 years since I've been here. So again, thank you all for the work that you're doing. Another exciting fact about awards that you may know, our past 2 awards banquets have featured opening remarks from U.S. secretaries. In 2013, we were honored to have Secretary of Education Arne Duncan come and speak at the awards banquet. And then last year, we had the Secretary of Labor, Thomas Perez, come and be our featured speaker. On both occasions, the secretaries flew into Vision basically just to speak at the awards banquet. So it's a pretty big deal, and we were very excited that they decided to join us for that event. And then lastly, we do have something new that we're doing this year, and I think it shows growth in the program. First time this year, we'll be inviting last year's national winners to present invited sessions at this year's Vision to share their best practices. I'm also pleased to announce that Tara Baresic, the 2014 Teacher of the Year, was invited to speak during one of the general sessions at Vision this year. So I think that's really exciting that we're looking to our award winners not only as part of this recognition program, but also to provide content and leadership to our members. So there's a lot of positive momentum moving forward for the National Awards Program, and I wanted to mention this because everything that we're able to do nationally starts with your work in the states. So thank you all for the work that you're doing. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being interested in growing this program. Okay, so I just mentioned the work that everyone's doing to support the program in their states, and I think it's an important note to acknowledge that running an awards program is work. But before we talk about the work involved and some resources you can use to help reduce that workload, I want to take a moment and talk about some of the reasons why awards are important, why we bother, why we put our time and effort into these programs, and why they matter to us, and not just us nationally, but why they matter to you at the state level as well. Firstly, the awards program can foster a stronger sense of community among your members. It's a little cliche to say that it takes a village, but it does. It takes volunteers like you to run the program. It takes friends, colleagues, supervisors to recommend people for awards. So I think the strength of your awards program really shows the strength of community in your state. Also, recognition shows your members that you value their work and development as professionals, and I think that's something that is really important to us. Secondly is leadership. Award winners and finalists can be a great pool of candidates to go to for leadership positions in your organization. I didn't put any information on the state winners who've gone on to become leaders, but I can say that a number of national award winners have gone on to join the National ACTE Board and be phenomenal leaders. So I think there's no question about it. You have a pool of high-quality, dedicated educators. You know, this is another opportunity to go to them for their leadership skills and develop them in that way. And then awards help bring positive attention to CTE. So this goes beyond just recognizing people within our organization, among our organization members. This is broader than that. By highlighting the professionals doing great work, we are reinforcing the importance and relevance of career and technical education. Our hope is that the award winners serve as a source of inspiration to others, not just within our organization, but outside it. We've seen the awards become a ground that we can unite with external groups on. I already mentioned the 2 U.S. secretaries who came to the awards banquet. I think that's proof right there of how unifying this can be. We've also had a great deal of success with our sponsorships and groups that want to help us promote this program because they believe in promoting a positive image of CTE. So I think that, you know, one of the strongest aspects of awards is that people can really agree on education when they see the positive results, and that's one of the best things about the awards program is that's what it's there for. So I think we can agree that there are some really good reasons to devote our time and energy to awards, and I think that that's why you're all here with us today. So when we start talking about how to make our awards more impactful, more successful, I think it all starts with one question. What are we doing to recognize our winners? A considerable amount of effort might be put into getting people involved in the program to make the application and selection processes run smoothly, but our end goal is our winners. How do we promote them? How do we utilize their voices, their stories, their leadership potential? And I think that if we address those aspects, that's going to determine the success of our programs, really what we're doing with our winners. So I want to briefly review some of the things we do to recognize and congratulate winners on the national level. You may do some of these things in your state as well, or maybe this might give you some ideas of things you could be doing in your state. So first of all, recognition. All of our winners receive a personalized trophy on stage in front of over 400 awards banquet guests. We mention them in our Techniques magazine. Actually, this April issue, there's an article about the awards program that has a feature on this year's winners. If you happen to see that, check it out. We do a filmed interview with all of our winners, and we post it on the website. I think the interview is a really cool way to give these winners a platform to share their stories, share their messages, and I think that some of them are very powerful. And our website, if you haven't seen them yet, I encourage you to also check those out. We give all of our award winners personalized business cards printed with our logo and their award on it. And this is actually surprisingly popular. I mean, not surprisingly, but our award winners really actually like these business cards. And it helps us, too, because when they're going out meeting people and they're able to say, well, yes, I'm connected to ACTE because I'm the 2015 Teacher of the Year, that keeps that connection with us when they're going out and talking to other people. And I think that's, it's very useful for us, as well as for them. They really like it. We also do a lot to announce them through press releases. We send out press releases to their institutions or companies, their state associations, and region vice presidents. Press release is a nice formal way to announce your winners and why you're recognizing them, what they've done to deserve this recognition. And then also we publish their name and bio on our website. In terms of prizes, we can offer a cash prize for our sponsored awards. Happy to say that last year we gave out, I think, over $10,000, $13,000 in cash prizes, which is really, really cool because of our sponsors. We also give our winners 1-year complimentary membership to National ACTE, and then also we comp their registration for Career Tech Vision. And then opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, we have a new opportunity this year for all of our award winners. They have been invited to present a session at Vision 2015. And then also every year we invite the Teacher of the Year to speak at our National Policy Seminar. So this past MPS, we had Clyde McBride, the 2015 Teacher of the Year, come and speak, and I think it was a really great presentation he gave. And then we also invite them to write for our Educators in Action blog. So these are some of the things that we give to our national winners. Something I didn't mention in there, after we give them the awards banquet, we also give all of them a little packet with some information about how to get involved in leadership opportunities. Because like I said earlier, this is a great pool of candidates to tap into. If you're looking for new leaders for your organization, I think all of our associations are, constantly rotating this leadership. So, looking for new blood, this is a great place to get it. Okay. All right. So I briefly reviewed what we do to recognize and congratulate our winners on the national level. Before I go into this next marketing piece, I did want to say, you may do some of these things in your state, you may not. I think that building up a recognition plan, even if you start with something simple, is definitely one of the best things you can do to develop your program. Promoting your winners is a great way to get people interested in participating. And also, again, it's your end game. That's why we're doing it, is so that we can get these great winners and promote them. Okay, so let's talk about marketing your awards program. On a basic level, this starts with identifying and understanding some key elements. First of all, your audience, their incentives to apply and nominate, why are they participating, the information they need to participate in the awards program, and then the venues and channels that you have to market the program. Okay. So first of all, you want to think about who's nominating or applying for your awards program. This has been a topic of discussion at the National Awards Committee level, and it seems that the audiences that your states are soliciting for nominations kind of vary by state. The National Committee doesn't have a position on whether or not candidates should or shouldn't complete their own applications. That's really up to what goes on at the state level. It sounds like some states really target their messaging towards people who are going to nominate a third party, so supervisors who are going to nominate their teachers. Other states might target their communications more directly at those people themselves who are going to apply for the awards program. So it's up to you. I would guess that those people who do nominate themselves, who do complete their own award applications, have been nudged by other people to apply. I think it takes a little bit of coaxing and definitely encouragement from other people for a candidate to nominate themselves. So I think you want to think about that when you're writing your communications, and think about who they're going to and addressing them, not just the potential candidates, but the people who will likely nominate those people and encourage them. Secondly, why are they nominating or applying? So again, I think the first reason here goes back to that sense of community and pride in CTE. I think that the more prestigious your recognition plan is, I think that the stronger the reason is for somebody to nominate a colleague. But I think that probably the biggest reason they do this is to draw attention to their programs, their school, their colleagues. I think that people feel good when they're recognizing really great teachers in their school, really great career guidance counselors, really great administrators they have. I think it really brings people together, and they can feel good about doing something like that. So I think that's a really important strong incentive right there for people to participate in awards. And then sort of a broader, more meta incentive is that by participating in an awards program, they're being part of a statewide or region-wide or nationwide campaign to recognize excellence in CTE. And they may not understand that at the basic level, but that's kind of something, you could plant that seed in the back of their minds, because that's something that we understand is one of the motives of the awards program. Okay. All right, so thirdly, you want to consider what people need to know to participate. Do they have access to all the information they need to figure out what to do with the awards program? So you want to make sure that your communications about awards include these things: what the award is and its purpose, who is eligible, how to apply, deadline to submit an application or a nomination, when winners will be announced or recognized, and then back with questions. If you put all this information on your website, it makes it pretty easy to do communications after that, little teaser announcements in your newsletters, link back to your website for more information. But you definitely want to make sure you have all of this information somewhere. And if you use our awards portal, we post all of this information for you to try and make it easier. And then lastly, how do you communicate this information to them? A couple different channels that I can think of. Definitely your website. You want to have this information up there and make sure that it's updated. In newsletters, flyers, and brochures, we have an Excellence Awards brochure that you can use if you want. That's available on our website. You can print it, or we can print it for you. Word of mouth, and then announcements or promotions at your conferences. Okay. Okay. So before I show you some of the new resources we have on our website, I kind of wanted to go over a couple of the common issues that seem to be, the most common hurdles for state coordinators trying to grow their awards programs. The first challenge, I think, is probably the most difficult one to tackle. We know why awards are important, but I think, and we know why we want to recognize our members' work, but do your members care? And, again, I think this is probably the toughest one to look at. But if your state is in this situation where you're having a really hard time getting interest in your program, I think the first place I would start is looking at what you do to recognize your winners. Is it enough? Is that recognition visible enough? Do people get the sense that you really value your award winners and that you really care about them having gone through this program? It doesn't have to cost any money to recognize your winners, but it will definitely be an investment of your time and resources. So, I would consider definitely what you're doing to promote this recognition. Also, do people know about how you recognize award winners? That goes back to my first point. I think probably the best marketing tool you have for your program is actually promoting your winners. So how well are you doing that? Also consider, how are you communicating about your program? communication is really crucial, and it's a direct reflection of your organization and what you're promoting. So it's important to look at not just what you're communicating to your members, but how you're doing it as well. Does it reflect the prestige of the program? Does it show your care and commitment to people who are participating in that program? And then also, you want to think about your audience and their incentives. Are you hitting the right audiences? Are you tailoring your messages to the people who are most likely to be nominating, teachers or career guidance counselors or themselves? And then are you addressing their incentives? Why should these people care about participating in the awards program? So that's a tough one to address, but I think I'd start there, thinking about those things. And then related, I heard another problem that some states have is that they have members who are nominated for awards, but they don't want to take the time to complete an application. I think it's certainly no sin in not really wanting to put yourself out there. I think that's pretty common in people, is this kind of reluctance to share their information and put themselves on a platform. So I definitely think it takes some coaxing, a lot of encouragement. I think that one of the probably easiest things you can do to kind of address this is encourage those people nominating to take a more proactive role in completing the application materials. Are they writing letters of recommendation beforehand? Do they go ahead and summarize the qualities of the candidate? What can they contribute to the application to kind of move that process along? I think that if someone is nominated for an award, it's harder to say no to completing that information they need to fill out if someone else has already put in a good chunk of the work. So I think that might be a strategy that might help with that. Okay, so some more common challenges. I think lack of information. I think this one's probably a little bit easier to deal with. This really comes down to your marketing strategy. Do your members know about the awards program or the process? We already reviewed some important information they need to be able to participate. Are you using all of your channels and venues to communicate this information? Definitely use your state website, your newsletters, not just to talk about the program, but also to promote your winners and other venues for marketing the program and communicating the necessary details. And definitely communicate more than once, but do it strategically. So, I'd recommend if you have, a deadline set up for your awards program, try to announce that call to entry at least 3 months in advance, and then follow up with a couple reminders. Can't expect people to just remember that date. Sometimes it takes, a couple of communications to keep it on their radar. And then third problem, definitely see this. I think there's a lack of time, lack of manpower, lack of resources for you as awards coordinators, as state leaders running programs. And so I definitely want to acknowledge, we can all agree awards programs can be a lot to handle. I would say to address this, first of all, set goals. Think about what you want to accomplish in your state, what you think needs to happen to really make your awards program successful, and then recruit some assistance. Ask for help. Delegate responsibility. It's a lot for one person to do by themselves, so definitely make sure you have a support system. If you're a state awards coordinator, make sure that you are getting the help from your state leader, that you're backed by them. Take the time to learn what the responsibilities are of managing the awards program. Some states have their awards coordinators, their awards chairs turn over every year, so it's a learning process every year. Take the time to teach the new person what they're supposed to do. And then finally, definitely let us help you. We have a lot of resources that you can use, and we're invested in making sure that your programs are successful, because ultimately the success of the national program rests on the success of your state programs. Okay, so for this part of the presentation, I want to kind of walk through some of the new resources we have available on our website. Okay, so I'm going to start here at our home page under Who We Are, the Excellence Awards. And I want to start off here just to kind of walk you through this page if you haven't been here in a while. First off, we have our new page dedicated to this year's past winners. If you haven't looked at this, I encourage you to check it out because this is where we house all of their interview videos. So if you click on these, you'll be able to watch those videos. I think they're really cool. And then we'll scroll down a little bit. So here's where we talk about the awards program, the award winner archive that I mentioned earlier. This goes all the way back to 1954. So, you know, it's an interesting thing to have on there. We'll come back to this, but this is what I was talking about. Our new awards resources page is available now. But I briefly want to scroll down and look at what else is available on this page. So we have our link to the awards banquet. I'll go here real quick. If you're planning an awards banquet in your state and you need help with event planning, please reach out to us. You know, we probably have some tips that we can share with you. You can contact me and I can loop in our meetings manager. But, you know, feel free to kind of look at what we do for our awards banquet. We have links to our member awards and our image awards. These pages talk about the two different categories and all the awards that are available, the eligibility for each one. There's a copy of the application requirements on these pages. So, you know, take a look at them. Here's the link to our awards portal, which I'll review with you in a couple minutes. And then some other links to our other awards and contests that we have that are not part of the Excellence Awards program. And of course, we thank our sponsors. So I'm going to go back up now to our awards resources page. This is a brand new page, just put on the website yesterday, so you're the first ones to see it. And as you can see, we have a couple different documents on here that we're very excited to share with you. So first off, resources for applicants and nominators. We have a new resource here. It's called Writing a Strong Nomination, Tips for Applicants. This was drafted by the National Awards Committee. It's basically a list of recommendations on what to do to strengthen a nomination that you're writing for yourself or for another person. It doesn't tell people what to put in their applications, just a couple of tips on how to make them stronger. Open up real quick. So you'll see has basically just a one-sheet tip sheet on you know, some tips they can use to write a stronger nomination because presentation is important, and we definitely want to help you all present your nominees as best as possible. So that's available. That's a brand new resource straight from our National Awards Committee. We strongly encourage you to share that with your applicants, your state winners when they're beefing up their applications before the region competition. Feel free to share that with them. We also have available a downloadable version of the National Member Awards application requirements. This is also available on our Member Awards page on the awards portal, but it's here too, you know, as a quick reference. Awards Committee resources. This is another brand new resource. We have the Awards Committee Guiding Principles. This is a list of practices that are employed by the National Awards Committee, and it provides recommendations on how to ensure fair practices throughout the application and judging process for your committee members. So I'll open this up real quickly so you can see what it looks like. This was put together by the National Awards Committee, and basically just a couple of guidelines that they use with regard to the application and interview process, the judging process, and then confidentiality of information to ensure that all candidates, applicants are treated equally and that there's integrity in the process. So if you're an awards chair, awards coordinator, I strongly encourage you to look at this, use it as a reference, and hopefully this information will give you more insight into how the National Committee works. Okay. Another resource we have available is the Awards Committee Member Position Description. And the reason I put this up here is because I know that your state level, you often have turnover with your state awards coordinators. You're looking for new chairs. You're looking for new judges. This position description is for the national committee, but it can easily be tweaked and retooled for use in your state. This position description basically just provides information on the commitment involved in being a part of the National Awards Committee. I think it might be a helpful tool if you're trying to recruit people for your awards committee, to have kind of a list of what that commitment is going to look like, what the timeline of duties is going to look like. So, check that out if you're looking at building up your awards committee. And then also the National Member Awards rubric, a quick reference to this as well. This is also available on the Member Awards page. But if you'd like to have a paper copy, it's available here. And then lastly, resources for awards chairs and administrators. I have a new resource here. It's called Responsibilities and Permissions on the ACT Awards portal. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the awards portal is a handy tool that automates several steps of the application and judging process, basically puts it all online. This chart outlines the various functions that can be performed via the awards portal by the automated system, as well as those that are managed by the state program administrator and ACTE staff. So the past year that we've been doing things on the awards portal has really been a great learning experience, figuring out what works, in terms of, communicating these responsibilities to the state administrators and then training the states on how to use the system. And I think that this might be a really good place to start if you're not sure how the awards portal works. This gives you kind of an overview of what it can do, what it can't do, what functions are not automated, what things have to be done by the state administrator, and then what functions have to be done by ACTE staff, the super admin, what things you don't have control over as a state program administrator. So hopefully you find this helpful. For people who don't use the awards portal right now, I think this column right here that has all of the automated functions of the portal, I think this kind of shows you all the different things that could be taken off your plate by using the online system. So hopefully this lays that out in a very clear way. And then also outline a couple things that while the awards portal is very handy, there are a couple of things it can't do that are still up to the state admin to do, including marketing the link to your members and checking the information on your public web page. So all of that's outlined in this document, and hopefully you all find that useful. The help for admins on the ACT Awards portal, I'll come back to this in a second, but if you haven't been to the awards portal recently, we do have some fairly new tutorials for applicants, judges, and administrators that hopefully answer the basic questions of how to use the online system and train you on how to use those different functionalities. Coming soon, we will have a document with some sample communication, sample messaging for marketing your awards program. As requested, we will have some sample call to entry, some other sample messages, invitations to the awards banquet, things that might help you as you're putting together your awards program communications to use as a template. So that'll be coming soon. It's not available yet. The Excellence Awards brochure, this is a downloadable version of our brochure. If you want to print it, use it as a marketing tool, feel free. It's ours, it's yours, go for it. We can also print copies for your state conference if you would like, if you use the state conference request form. That's available on the State Leaders Resources page. And then also a new resource, we talked a little bit about press releases and how we like to use those to announce our award winners. And this guide basically gives you some tips on what to include in press releases, a checklist of all the things you should definitely include, some tips on writing or editing an award winner bio if you're going to include that in your press release, and then also some templates. some samples of press releases that you can use. So hopefully this kind of takes some of the workload off of you, and gives you some guidance on some things that you can do pretty easily to promote your winners. And then also at the back of this document, we have a style guide when you're writing about awards, just some tips on how to do that. Okay. All right, so this is our brand new awards resources page. I strongly encourage you all to check it out. Look at these. If there are other resources that your state has, if you have a particularly strong program or you have lots of materials that might benefit others and you want to share, please feel free to send those along. I would love to share those with other states if you would be willing. And then if there are resources that would be particularly helpful for your program that are not available here, please contact me as well, and we can work on developing those. The resources you see here have basically, a lot of these have been developed by request, recommendations from states on what we can do to help them. So we certainly are listening to you. So if there's something here that's missing, let us know, and we'll work on it. Okay. And now I want to go briefly to the awards portal. Go back home. So if you haven't been here in a couple weeks, it looks a little different than it did. You'll see up here we have a new menu organization. And I want to draw your attention to two different parts of the menu. The first is our help pages. You'll see under here we have a help for administrators. This has some frequently asked questions. All of these are video tutorials on how to do these various functions. We also have a help page for judges, and then just a normal help page for the average user. And then also, under awards and scholarships, you can go directly to all the different state programs on the awards portal. Every one of these links to a state landing page. I'll open up Illinois, for example. This is your state's homepage on the awards portal. So, if your state uses the awards portal, please make sure that you check out your state page, make sure this information is updated. If it's not, let me know, and then we'll update it for you. But hopefully this new organization makes it a little bit easier to navigate this system. Also have the region homepages available as well for your members who are applying directly for regions when we get to that point next year. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to PowerPoint. Okay, so we're running out of time, but I did want to take this a moment to see if you had any questions, wanted to share ideas, things that are working in your states, things that aren't working in your states. Okay, well then for the sake of time, if you have any questions or if you have any ideas you want to share with others, feel free to let me know, email me, you can call me, and I'll be happy to address those questions that you might have. And then lastly, I just want to thank you all for all the hard work and dedication you have in promoting these worthy individuals and groups. It's definitely worth the effort, and I hope that after this presentation you've certainly felt that. And then before we go, I did have some reminders. May 1st is the deadline for the Image Awards nominations. Those are for our Business Leader of the Year, our Business of the Year, and our Champion of the Year. That's open to non-members and non-member groups as well, as long as the nominations come from members. So please nominate. Please encourage your members to nominate. The deadline is May 1st. And then secondly, last reminder, if your state wants to activate a divisions level sub-level on the awards portal for your state, please contact me by the end of the week, and I'll be happy to set that up for you.
Hi, Kate. We actually have a few questions here from some of the attendees. One of them was talking about questions about nominations being put on the portal and when she would be able to view those as an award admin.
Okay, so as an award administrator, you can view nominations on a rolling basis as they come in. You can open up nominations that are not complete yet. You can open up complete nominations. As long as you have administrator access in the awards portal, you can view all nominations that are coming in for that program at any time.
Thank you. Again, we do have the chat box and the Q&A available for any questions that you have. I'll be giving them out to Lauren and Kate, so please feel free to ask your questions in either of those boxes.
Okay. And it looks like we have some questions about the presentation. Yes, we can make this available to you later.
Kate, this is Daryl from Colorado. I noticed our button wasn't highlighted. How do I get my awards activated on there? Do I need to send you a list, or we have a page in Colorado, but how do I get those activated?
I can work with you on getting that activated.
Great.
Yeah. And if you're talking about the state page, which had some of the names in blue and some were in gray, they're all of those links are active. I'm not really sure why some of them are different colors, but they're all active links.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, but you and I can talk about other stuff you want to do on the awards portal, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Kate, we also have another question regarding, it was from the same person who had asked the question before about she had gotten requests about nominations, but when she went to the portal, the admin page, they were not there. So I think it's probably just a technical difficulty, and I can pass her name along to you, and if you want, you can talk to her about that.
Okay, sure. If you're having any technical issues with the awards portal or questions about how to view nominations as an admin, please let me know. I'd be happy to work with you. Sidebar. As an administrator, you have access to not just the public face of the awards portal, but also the back end. And the back end has undergone a couple organizational changes as well that might be a little, might take a little bit more getting used to. But yes, if you have any questions about the awards portal, just let me know, and I'll work with you on that.
Kate, this is Lauren. I know, Julia, I think you might have missed this one, but someone mentioned that they have a shortage of nominees, and I think you touched on this in your presentation. But do you have any other ideas or thoughts for people who are just having issues soliciting nominations?
Yeah, I think this is the toughest one. It goes back to one of two things: is a lack of interest or is a lack of information. Make sure you're doing everything you can to give them all the information they need, market the program, communicate about it regularly, but then also try and figure out how to get your members interested in awards. I think that we've outlined some reasons why awards are important, some reasons why people should be interested in the awards program, but that's certainly a process you have to kind of get to know your members, and I think you might have to be a little aggressive in the beginning, trying to get people, help them along with the process. Give them the tip sheet. Be as supportive as possible. I think after you get over that first push of getting people involved in your program, I think that, and then you start promoting your winners and recognizing them, I think that it'll just get easier and easier.
Great. And Kate, I know you mentioned this as well, but it comes up, and for those who perhaps aren't on the call, if they're in a state that does not have or is not utilizing the portal right now, what's the best way to move forward?
If your state isn't using the awards portal, but you want to, all you have to do is email me, and I will get that set up for you.
Excellent. This was an excellent presentation, and as Kate mentioned, it was recorded. We will have this available for you to view at a later time if you wish to do so. Any other last-minute questions for Kate? Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kate. With that, I'll wrap up with just a few quick announcements. As Kate mentioned, May 1st is the deadline for our Image Awards, so if you have someone to nominate for that, please be sure to get that in by May 1st. Speaking of deadlines, the ACTE Board of Directors election starts April 1st, accepting nominations. So if there is someone in your state that you think would be an excellent vice president or president-elect, please let me know, and I would be happy to reach out to them with the link for the application, or please feel free to direct them directly to our board election site so that they can apply. The deadline for completed applications is June 15th. We have several vacancies this year, as well as vice president-elect positions. So there really are quite a number of opportunities out there to get involved with our ACTE Board of Directors. So please consider that and take advantage of that. Also, Kate mentioned this, the state conference materials request form. If you would like to have the awards brochure or another ACTE brochure or resource at your state conference, please fill out this form, and we would be happy to send you the materials that you requested in time for your state conference. And then lastly, our next call will be April 28th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and we'll be talking about empowering and equipping boards, the topic that we were going to discuss today. I presented on this topic during the State Leadership Training Program at MPS, so we'll be talking about how to work with boards more effectively and efficiently to ensure that the work of the organization is completed in a positive and rewarding way. With that, are there any other last-minute questions or anything else for the good of the order? Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we look forward to touching base with you next month. Thank you so much.